Ladies and gentlemen, we meet again towards Parashat Matot Mas'ei, and again we are facing war. We've had a few wars in the last few parashot, but there are different types of wars. The first one was opposite Edom, and Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, don't fight Edom. Edom is Esau. They are our brothers. Circumvent, go around. So we walked all around them and we did not walk through them because they will not let us go through them. Okay, so now we met Sichon, the king of the Amorites, and we said we want to walk through you. And he came out towards us and fought us. And therefore we fought back, self-defense, and we beat them and we got their land. And then we wanted to walk through Og Melech HaBashan, which is the Golan Heights. And he also came out to fight us. So for self-defense, we attacked him and we captured his land as well. Then the next in line is actually Moab. And Moab, we know Balak Melech Moab. Balak tried to fight us with non-conventional methods by bringing in a wizard to give a curse on Am Yisrael. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed his curse into a blessing. However, at the end of that parasha, all the same, 24,000 Jews died. How come? Because Bilam listened, this is what Chazal tell us, Bilam listened to the blessings that came out of his own mouth. And the blessings were focused on two main types of loyalty that Am Yisrael has. Loyalty to the family, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha. Israel, how beautiful are your families, how beautiful are your homes, loyalty within the family, and of course, loyalty to Hashem. And he made a plan, and he told the king of Midian to send his daughters and their wives to seduce Am Yisrael and cause a sexual temptation in such a way that it'll be disruptive to the families, and therefore, through this seducing, they will also create a disloyalty to Hashem. And this terrible plan actually worked. And therefore 24,000 Jews died who actually were seduced by Midian, by the idea that was given by Bilam. And now we've got a new type of war. The new type of war is that we are to initiate this war. Says Hashem to Moshe, you have to initiate this war. What is this war? This is a war of revenge. It's not self-defense like the previous wars. This is a war of revenge because they caused you to sin. They caused you a terrible plight of 24,000 people dead. And therefore, you have to kill them with Bilam ben Beor, who gave them this terrible advice. And that's what they do. They go out to war. However, since it's the first time we are initiating a war, Am Yisrael is initiating a war, there are certain moral objectives about how Jews should fight a war. There is a long list. I will only point out one that comes out of this parasha, which is a very important fundamental one, which I think is very relevant to the IDF still today. I was an IDF soldier for many years, a tank driver. I fought in a war. I was an intifada. I know how things work, and believe me, this is a central issue. If you understand this moral objective, and you understand how different it is to the moral objective on the other side, then you can start understanding the conflict, terrible conflict we have here in the Middle East. What does it say? It says in the parasha, "Vayitzba'u al Midyan ka'asher tziva Hashem et Moshe." They went out to war. They went out as an army to war against Midian. Ka'asher tziva Hashem et Moshe, as Hashem commanded Moshe. How did Hashem command Moshe? So the Rambam explains in Hilchot Melachim, chapter 6, the Law of Kings, in Halacha 7, he says as follows. When we besiege a city which we want to capture, we do not encircle it from all four sides, but only from three. We leave we leave one side open for them to flee. Anyone who wishes to escape with his life from the war zone may do so, as it says, שנאמר, ויצבאו על מדיין כאשר ציווה השם את משה. And you shall deploy against Midian as God had commanded Moshe. מפי השמועה למדו שבכך ציווהו. By tradition, we have learned that this is what was meant. A siege from three sides. Let's try and understand this for a moment. What is going on? Is that really a siege? So first of all, we're told that the first type of strategic act in war is not to charge against the enemy, but to create a siege. Why a siege? Because a siege can cause them to surrender, and less people will be killed. And a siege, if it's done properly, then they're cut off their water supply and their food supply and the ammunition supply, and at a certain point, they will just give up. But it's more than that. You have to leave one side open. You have to leave one side open for those who want to flee that can flee. That means you can control that fourth side. And on that fourth side, you're going to control in such a way that no extra food will go in and no extra ammunition and no extra soldiers. It will be a one-way street. And you can control that. But you have to let them flee. And this is incredible wisdom of the psychology of strategy in the Torah. But let's put ourselves for a moment in the shoes of a enemy who is being besieged. And because he's being besieged, if he knows he's cut off from all four sides, he will fight to the bitter end. It'll be a terrible fight. He'll die at the end and he'll kill many people on the way. However, if all the time he knows, the back of his mind, that any moment he can actually run home, he can run home because one side is open. He can run home to his family, he can run home to his home. Then he doesn't fight so fiercely, and therefore we might be able to save some soldiers, and we might be able to save his own life. What is this all about? Ladies and gentlemen, the sanctity of life. We believe every human being was born in the image of God. And we care about the life of every Jewish soldier and every Jewish civilian, but we even care about the lives of our enemy's civilian and even of our enemy's soldiers. We want to kill a minimum amount because each human being is born in the image of God. And that we try to do in the IDF today as well, only to fight those who are fighting us, not to harm any other people, no other passerbys, no other civilians, no other soldiers who are not in this conflict. We just want to make sure and when we fight with incredible accuracy. Also the Air Force and also the infantry and also in tanks in incredible accuracy to make sure that we do not overkill. What's happening though on the other side? We're fighting against a terrible enemy that want to kill as many as they can, and they don't mind being killed. They have the sanctity of death. They think death is the best thing. And we think life is the best thing. So it's not that we have different values. We are fighting against an enemy that has opposite values to us. There's a long list, ladies and gentlemen, there's a long list, a lovely lecture I like to give on ethics of war, where there's a long list. But this is one of the most important moral objectives, that we believe in sanctity to life. And where do we learn this? From this week's Parsha. And we keep true to it in the ethical code of IDF today. And I know that we pay a very high price for keeping such a high moral level, but this is the mitzvah. This is the mitzvah, and we keep to it, and we are loyal to it to the bitter end. Shabbat shalom.